everyone, my name is Dorian and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is my first YouTube video and it's just going to be an introduction and a little Q&A for you to get to know me, and hopefully I'll be able to continue this YouTube channel and this journey with you into the future. I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a very long time and it took me a while to realize that the only thing that was holding me back was myself, and so I decided that I was going to go ahead and give it a try, and it's something that I've been interested in for a really long time, so I'm hoping that it is something that I will continue to do throughout this year and into the future. This channel is a place for me to be able to vent my bookish thoughts and feelings, as well as a few other things that I'm also interested in, such as writing and the arts. If you like any of those things, then I believe that you have come to the right place, so I hope you'll stick around. And I really hope that you like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you can continue this journey with me. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Q&A. It's going to be a total of 14 questions. Some of them are going to be personal, while the others are going to be bookish themed, and I have 7 of each, which I'm going to alternate going back and forth with. The first question I have, which is personal, is: how old are you? I'm 18 years old and I will be turning 19 this year. The first bookish question I have is: what was the first book you ever read, or what was the first book that got you into reading? And the answer to that first question is going to be The Good Dog by Avi. I remember picking this book up in the 4th grade when I went to the library at school one day. I went back to one of the back shelves and I saw the spine sticking out, and I decided to pull it out and check it out just as something to do. But once I got home with it, I decided that I was going to go ahead and open it and actually read it, which I'm very glad I did because this book was so enjoyable for me and it's such a cute story. It's about a young boy and his dog and the journey they take together to protect one another when threats arise in their small town. And if you ever need a simple, short, cute read to either get you into reading or get you out of a reading slump, I highly recommend The Good Dog by Avi. The second personal question I have is: what grade are you in? So I am actually a sophomore in college, and I know you might be thinking, she said she's 18, shouldn't she be a freshman? But I actually graduated a year early from high school, which I'm very happy that I did, and now I am a sophomore in college, as I said. The next bookish question I have is: what is your favorite standalone? And for that answer, I'm gonna revert back to the answer to my previous bookish question, which was The Good Dog by Avi, and as I explained, it's a great simple read to get you into reading or out of a book slump. But since I cheated, I'll go ahead and pick another book that is one of my favorite standalones as well. The second standalone that I really enjoyed is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. This book is a book of poetry, however, it's also its own story, and it's written so well because all of the poems flow together very well and they all relate to one another to create the overall story that Elizabeth wrote in this book. And I personally am not a poetry person, but I was able to enjoy this book because of how the poems flowed together and how they all came together to make this arc of the story. If you don't know, this book is about a young girl named Xiomara who is very interested in writing poetry, but she finds herself struggling because of her family, but also because of the world she finds herself living in. And so it's about her overcoming her fear and going after her dreams to be a poet and write poetry. The next personal question there is what school do you go to? So I go to a liberal arts college located in Frederick, Maryland, and it is called Hood College. I love it very much. I love the campus, I love the community, I love the professors, I love the classes, I love the people, and I think it's a really great school, and I'm glad that I didn't go anywhere else. The next bookish question I have is: what is your favorite series? This one is going to be tough because I have read so many series and I've enjoyed so many different series, but I think I'm gonna have to go with 2, I know, I'm cheating again, 2 favorites that I have. The first of those 2 favorites is going to be Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. If you don't know about this trilogy, it is a story of a female soldier who finds herself thrown into a world of magic that she never thought she would be a part of before. She has her own powers that no one has seen for hundreds of years, and it's about her fight against the darkness that is consuming her land. If you don't know Leigh Bardugo or her books, many of them take place in the world she created called the Grishaverse. This is is one of 3 series that she has out so far that take place in the Grishaverse, and if you're gonna start out reading about her world, I would suggest this trilogy before you read her others, which are Six of Crows and King of Scars, because this one is before then and it has a lot of history. It talks a lot about the magic system and it explains what has happened before those take place. The next book series I have that's one of my favorites is going to be A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And I know this is kind of typical, as well as Shadow and Bone being favorite series for people who read books, but I chose these 2 series because they helped me through some tough times, and that's one of the reasons that made me enjoy them more than others, but I'm sure that my answer will change over the next few years when I read more stories and consume more series. The next personal question I have is, what are you studying at school? So I don't really know if I want to answer this question because it's already changed a bunch, but I'm pretty set and committed on what I am studying now, and hopefully that doesn't change because otherwise my credits are going to be all messed up. But I am a double major in communication arts and English with a minor in business, and I'm very happy with my selection. It took me a while to get to that and to perfect what I wanted to study and how I wanted to study it, but I'm very satisfied and I'm excited to graduate with those degrees and see where they take me in the future. The next bookish question is, who is your favorite author? And I'm gonna have to say that Leigh Bardugo, who wrote Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, and the King of Scars series, has to be one of my favorite authors, and that's just because you can tell with her writing that she grows with every book she writes, and there's little changes within each of them that makes her writing so much more interesting, so much more powerful, and keeps readers wanting more. I have not read her adult book, Ninth House, but it is on my list and I'm really hoping to get to it this year because I've heard really good things about it and it's completely different from what I've read from her already, so I'm very excited to get to that. The next personal question I have is, what is your dream job? So I don't really have a straightforward answer to this because I don't really know what I want my dream job to be. I know what I would like it to look like, and what that is me doing something where I work with books, and that could be working for a publishing company, an editing company, a magazine, or a literary journal. I don't really care as long as I get to work with what I love, and that is books. I also really hope to one day publish my own novel or novels. That is another dream of mine that I have that I hope I will accomplish. The next bookish question, which has to be my favorite, is, what is your favorite cast of characters? And I'm gonna throw it back with this one and pick a classic, well, what I consider a classic to be, and that is going to be The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. This cast of characters is so unique and so different from young adult and adult alike, and these books were so ahead of their time that it's just hard for me to ignore the fact that the cast of characters in these books stand out so much compared to others. I do wish that back then there would have been more female representation and a lot more stronger female characters than there were, but I do understand that based on the time these books were written and published, that really wasn't considered to be acceptable or what would sell, so I understand, but that doesn't mean I love these books any less, or that the cast of characters in these books stand out to me any less. If you don't know, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien follows the Fellowship of the Ring as they attempt to destroy the darkness that is also overtaking their land. I just realized that this is basically the same synopsis that I gave for Shadow and Bone, but basically these books follow our young protagonist Frodo Baggins, who is a hobbit, as he journeys across the land of Middle-earth to destroy this all-powerful ring that can be used to destroy the hobbits and all of the other races aside from the evil ones, which would be the orcs and the barbaric humans that follow the evil presence Saruman. One thing about these books I will say is that they are very dense and the reading is very descriptive and very thick, and unless you're prepared to dive into that, I really don't recommend you pick up these books, because even when I did, I wasn't fully prepared for J.R.R. Tolkien's writing style, and it took me a long time to get through this trilogy. The next personal question I have is, what is your favorite place? I'm sitting in it. No, I'm just kidding. I am both a beach person and a woodsy person, so two of my favorite favorite places would have to be on the beach or at a beach house that's right on the beach where I can see the ocean, or a cabin in the woods where I can see the mountains and watch snowfall and cozy up on a sofa with a nice book to read. So I'm the type of person who can go either way. I can go to the coast, I can go to the mountains, it doesn't matter. The next bookish question I have is going to be a tough one, and that is, who is your favorite hero and who is your favorite villain? So this one's a two-parter. And I will have to say that one of my favorite heroes is Clary Fairchild from the Mortal Instruments series. And you cannot tell me that Clary Fairchild is not badass. Okay, she is. She 100% is, and she 100% is a hero. The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare was one of the first book series that I picked up and that I binged as a young reader, and so that's why Clary Fairchild sticks out in my mind so much, because she was such a prominent character for me for a very long time, and she is such a prominent character in a lot of Cassandra Clare's books even after the Mortal Instruments. What sticks out about Clary for me is that a lot of the things she does for her family and the close friends she has made throughout the books. So that is one reason why she is one of my favorite heroes. For favorite villain, I am going to have to go with Corian from the Imperium Trilogy, and that's just because he is not only an awful villain, but he is also a cunning one. So that just makes it 10 times worse, because you know he is thinking out all of his moves ahead of time, and everything he does with a purpose and with his cunning. So it's just frustrating, especially in this series, to see him introduced, and you know deep down that something's fishy about him from the beginning, but our main character, Riel, does not. And so to see her fall into that hole and then realize he's a villain is so frustrating and hard for readers, but it's just what makes these books so good and so much better in my opinion. If you don't know, the Imperium Trilogy follows two storylines, one with Riel and one with Aliana, and they're from two different times in the world that this takes place in. And Riel is someone who finds herself going through a bunch of trials because she also finds out she has unexpected magics. And then the other side follows Aliana, who's trying to find her mother who vanishes. And the books all intertwine with one another, and the storylines end up intertwining with one another, and they are a great read. Also, I will be linking all of the books below if you want to look into them or do some shopping. Absolutely no pressure whatsoever, they're just there to help. And I will also be linking the authors that I mentioned, their websites below as well. The last personal question I have for myself is, what is your comfort food or drink? So I usually go for comfort drinks. That's just how I am, and my comfort drink would have to be a cup of hot tea. I don't really care what kind of tea it is, as long as I can steep it and I can drink it, really tasting the flavor and just relax while I do so. The last bookish question I have for myself is, what is your most anticipated read of 2021? And once again, I'm gonna cheat because I have two answers to this question. The first book that I am anticipating for 2021 has already come out, and that is the newest book by Alexander Bracken, which is Lore. And this follows a world in which a handful of gods find themselves once every 9 years, I believe, mortal. And so there are groups of hunters, human hunters, who go to track them down, to kill them, and steal their immortality. And it's about a girl who pulled herself out of the hunters and out of that life, but then she finds herself drawn back in when a wounded Athena comes to her seeking help. And the next anticipated book I have on my 2021 list is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And this is a continuation of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but instead it follows Nesta and Cassian, which is one book that I have been waiting for a very long time. And if you know, you know, because we've been waiting for these two to get together for forever. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I hope you will like and subscribe and continue with me as I make content that is bookish as well as other topics alike. And it'd be awesome if you all want to go ahead and comment down below any answers to any of the questions that I asked myself in this video, so that we can get to know each other a little bit more. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.